Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah. Let's get this started, right? Um, so today we're gonna do a live stream build of Iron Man Titan of Innovation. Let me actually take this to its own thing real quick, because I think I could grab a link right to this live stream. Get a shareable link. Let me pop up into Discord for all of 2 seconds. We'll do an add everyone. Alright, cool, cool, cool. Actually want to minimize this and not just... Yeah, there we go. Okay. So before we dive on over to Scryfall to start looking for cards, let's take a look at what Iron Man Titan of Innovation actually does, right? So Iron Man Titan of Innovation is an Izzet commander, 5 mana, 4/4 flying haste, so not bad stats, right? They have Genius Industrialist. Whenever Iron Man attacks, we get to create a treasure token. Then we can sacrifice a non-creature artifact. If we do, we search the library for an artifact that costs exactly 1 more than the artifact that we sacrificed. So if we sacrifice a treasure, right, we're getting a 1. If we sacrificed a 1 cost, like a soul ring, which would be weird to sack, but we could, we get a 2 cost, so on and so forth. And we get to put it onto the battlefield. It's important to note that although the sacrifice artifact can't be a creature, the artifact that we get can be a creature. So actually, let me go take a look at Marvel Secret Lair. Because I want to see what all comes in. What are we doing? Yeah, we will accept those cookies. That's fine. What all comes with Iron Man? Because I want them. Galvanic Blast. Commander's Plates. Plate. There we go. We get a soul ring, which we were going to put in anyways. Inventor's Fair, and then a unique treasure token. Alright, cool, cool, cool. We also know that we're definitely going to be running an Arcane Signet. I think that's a good enough start for things that I'm guaranteed to be running. I mean, obviously we're going to be running some islands and mountains as well, but I think we're good here, right? So, Marvel, I don't need you anymore. We're going to just close you out. We'll hop over to Scryfall, do some advanced searches. We want... Not there. We want it from the commander's perspective, blue-red. We want artifact, creature, not a creature, is that enough? We'll say yes for now. We're going to sort by EDA track. I almost want to search by mana value, honestly. A lot of cheapies out here. The question becomes, what do we want to do in the deck, right? And honestly, I don't think this is a good search. I mean, obviously we're getting things, right? Let me go back to advanced search real quick. So we still want artifact, we still want to say not a creature, we still want to limit it to blue-red. Graveyard. Search. Acre Wellspring is an obvious ad, right? It's gonna draw us 2 cards and be sack fodder. And it's super cheap. What else? Does anything else care that it comes in or leaves, is kind of the question. Spine of Ishsa enters, destroys a thing. When it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, it gets returned to hand. So I think Spine of Ishsa is pretty nice for us. And again, is nice and cheap. The Mycosynth Wellspring is another good one for us. Mycosynth Wellspring. No, no. 4 more permanent types, so no. Nim Deathmantle is tempting. I'm not going to put it in yet, though. Prized Statue. When it enters the battlefield or is put into the graveyard, we get to create a treasure token, so I do like Prized Statue for this deck. We are creating tokens on attack, so I do like the Idol of Oblivion. I know we didn't see it over there with this search, but we did see it with the original search. Looking for more things that care about them entering or leaving. Vehicles could be interesting to an extent. Because they are sackable, because they're not creatures. Let's take a look. It's in a book. Ba-do-do-boo-doo. Lumbus is actually pretty decent for us, right? So, enters, we're going to scry 1, draw. When it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, it gets shuffled back into the deck. Limbus. Permanents you control have Ward 2, beginning of end step, mill, copy a thing. No, I'm good. Ooh, we could do like an energy build with the Aetherworks Marvel. How expensive are you? Because you were in Modern Horizons 3, you're actually super cheap. Well, even like the original Kaladesh is pretty cheap. Do I want to go in an energy fashion? It's like, well, you are the Energy King. So, yes. It's like, that's fair, that's fair. And this lets me look at the top 6 and play something for free. And it's just like a nice, like, not 2 cost. Because it's like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. And then obviously 7 being kind of like crazy high. And it's like, I do want to, in a lot of ways, limit the number of artifacts at the same mana value to an extent. So this will give us 2 creatures and be, deck ramping fodder. So I think we're going to put in both, though. Let me do Aether Works Marvel and Servo Schematic. Does anything else major care about when it enters and leaves? And it's like, only 2 cost things appear to care about it. This is actually pretty good, right? Slagstone Refinery. Whenever it or another non-token artifact we control is put into the grave from battlefield or is put into exile from battlefield, we get to create a tapped power stone, so it's good ramp. Slagstone Refinery. Nice and cheap. I don't want to look too much further. What do you guys think? Is there anything that I should be going out of my way to add to this deck? Have you guys built any Iron Man decks yet? I mean, obviously not physically because the Secret Lair is not out. But Feldon's Cane. Interesting. But no. Here's a Forger's Foundry, 3 costs, so we like that, because we don't actually have a ton of 3 cost things yet. Add blue, but only to cast instants or sorceries with mana value 3 or less. And then eventually lets us cast a bunch of stuff. So, no, not really what we're doing here. What are we looking at here? The answer is not much. You may cast spells that have cycling ability from your grave. That'd be cool in a cycling deck, but not really what we're doing. Summoning Station could be kind of cool. Right? Obviously expensive, but we're ramping up to it. And we're constantly sacrificing artifacts. I'm going to put Summoning Station in temporarily. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to end up in the final build, per se. But think it could be kind of cool. Salvaging station. I'm gonna pass on you. I think you're kind of interesting, but just not what I'm looking for. Have enough 2 costs. Target legendary creature in your grave gains escape. No, I'm good. Need to find things that are a little more interesting. Instant sorcery stuff. What is Churning Reservoir? Beginning of your upkeep, you get an oil counter on another non-token artifact or creature. You can pay 2 and create a 1/1. Activate only if there's an oil counter removed from a permanent you control this turn. Or one was put into the grave. No. Let's go back to my advanced search. We're going to stick with blue, red. I want to add an energy symbol. Search. Let me do EDH rec. Because we have a couple things that are doing this kind of stuff, right? We are the Energy King. I think we should be allowed to play with all the energy that we want. And I feel like Tony would have energy. They didn't give it to him, but... yeah. Okay, yeah. I think we're gonna do some energy shenanigans. How expensive is the Volatile Stormdrake? Nope, I know how to spell volatile. No, you don't. Stormdrake. He's like $1. Okay, that's fine. I like Guilty Aether's Heart. I like it better when we can abuse it. Which I don't think we can here, but I'm still gonna run it. I think we may as well run Aether Hub. Decotion module is good. Did I misspell Decotion? D-E-C-O... Decoction module. Lightning Runner, 5 cost, Human Warrior. Whenever he attacks, you could 2 energy. You could pay 8, have extra combats. If you're cheap enough, I do want you. Lightning Runner. Yeah, 17 cents. Glimmer of Genius is 4 to scry 2, draw 2, gain 2 energy. I think that's fine. Figured you'd be cheap. Helios 1. I'll add Helios 1, but, like, I don't know that we're ever gonna really use, you know, a lot of the secondary effects. Like, the fact that I could pay 1 to gain an extra energy is cool, but Unstable Amulet gives us 2 energy when it comes in. It's another 2-cost artifact, a little on the sad side. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, it deals 1 to each opponent. And you could tap and pay 2 energy to exile the top, and it basically holds it for you. I think that's probably pretty decent, right? It's effectively card draw. Unstable Amulet. The issue is that I'm finding more and more fucking 2-costers. And it's like, man, I kind of don't want these 2-costers. I don't have enough 1-costers, honestly. How many 1-costs do I have? And the answer is I have Commander Plate, which I definitely don't want to sack. And I have Soul Ring, which I don't want to sack. So I need to find some 1-costers. I mean, I don't have to, right? Obviously, we could start our chain a little higher. But Solar Transformer enters tapped. When it enters, we get 3 energy. And then it's a mana rock that taps for any color or colorless. It's a little slow because it enters tapped, obviously. Let's skip Solar Transformer for now. Aether Squall Ancients. I'm actually not the biggest fan of Aether Squall Ancients, but other people have told me that it's really strong, so I will keep it. Electro Siphon is obviously good. Electro Siphon. Counter some spells, gain some energy. Hello, is it Generatorium? Also 2 mana. It's like I need 3 cost things, 1-cost things, like anything else. But that's okay. So this is it Generatorium? 5 cents. Assaultron Dominator is also 2 mana, big sad. Whenever it enters, we gain 2 energy, and whenever an artifact creature we control attacks, we can pay 1. If we do, it gets a either +1/+1 first strike or trample. Is Iron Man himself an artifact creature? He is. So I also like that. Yeah, Assaultron, you could come in here. Assaultron. Is there an A in there? Yeah, AU. Whirler Virtuoso is stupid good. Royal Cartographer is landfall, gain energy, and lets us pay to draw a bunch of cards. So I'm pretty happy with them. Royal Cartographer. Era of Innovation. Whenever an artifact or artificer enters, we could pay 1 to gain 2. And we could pay and sack it at some point to draw cards. I think that's pretty good. Era of Innovation. Also, before we get too far into this, I need a... what is your name? Crime novelist. I need a Zorn. Academy manufacturer. Back to work. Plasma cutter. +1/+1, whenever it attacks, gain 2 energy. Pay 2 to choose target creature that's blocking it to flip a coin. If we win, they get exiled. Otherwise, the Plasma Cutter itself deals 1 damage to the creature. Plasma Cutter feels pretty good. I'm really trying to stop putting in 2-cost things, though. But we'll put it in for now, and we can always Plasma Cutter. My caster, not cutter. I know how to read. Behemoth is a 6-cost robot, so we could eventually maybe tier up to it. Enters gives us 4 energy. Whenever it dies, we get to pay any amount of energy and target non-land permanent with mana value to destroy it. You're definitely not bad, and we cannot sacrifice you because you're a creature to move up. But you're still a 6/6 Trampler. Behemoth of Vault 0. Here's a nice 3-coster conversion apparatus. So 3-cost mana rock that deals with energy. It's not my favorite, but we could always, again, use it as a stepping stone. So conversion apparatus. Fabrication module is also good because we could basically pump up our commander with it. So fabrication module. Synth Eradicator is another lovely 3-cost, so we have a bunch of 2-cost things that we're happy to sacrifice, and we could easily tutor him out with it. Obviously, that would end our chain, but whenever it attacks, we exile the top card of our library and get 2 energy. If we don't, we may get 2 energy. If we choose not to get the energy, we can play the card that turn. I think that's pretty good. Synth Eradicator. Synth Eradicator, there we go. Boop. Aether Refinery is amazing. I love Aether Refinery. And it's cheap. Rush of Inspiration. Draw 2, discard a card at random unless we pay 2. Or it's a land that enters tapped. I'm going to say no to the Rush of Inspiration. Tune the Narrative draws us a card and just gives us 2 energy. I think that's good enough. Tune the Narrative. Boop. The Motherlode Excavator is 5. It's a creature. When it enters, we get to choose an opponent and get an amount of energy equal to the number of non-basic lands they control. Whenever it attacks, we can pay 4 to destroy a non-land that player controls and make it so only none of their creatures without flying can block that turn. It is big energy, but it's also land destruction, which feels a little rude. I'm going to say no for now. Confiscation Coup, 5 mana, sorcery. Artifact or creature, gain 4, then you may pay an amount of energy equal to its converted mana cost to gain control of it. Stealing things is hilarious, but not really what our game plan is, so although I think it's a good card, we're going to say no. The T-45 Power Armor is more equipment. Gives us 2 energy when it enters. The equipped creature gets +3/+3, but doesn't untap during the untap step. Beginning of upkeep, you could pay 1 to untap it, and then give it a permanent boost in the form of a counter. Yeah, T45 power armor seems good. And is only 10 cents. Galvanic Discharge. Gain 3 energy, pay an amount, deal damage. It's single target removal, which I don't really like running in Commander, so I'm going to say no. Aethertide Whale is 6. Enters, gains a 6 energy. If we had infinite mana, this is an easy way of gaining infinite energy as well. But that's not really what we're doing. It is a flying 6/4 for 6, which isn't bad, but I'm still going to pass on it. Blaster Hulk is expensive. Costs 1 less for each energy we've paid or lost that turn, so it could be pretty good actually. When it attacks, we gain 2, then we can pay 8 to deal 8 damage among up to 8 targets. Yes, Blaster Hulk, you could come hang out. Stone Idol Generator. Whenever a creature we control attacks, we gain energy. We can pay 6 and tap it to create a colorless construct with trample at sorcery speed. I think that's pretty good for us. Stone Idol Generator. I do think we want some of these vehicles at some point. Like the bespoke battle wagon. Look at it. So majestic. 4 mana, 5/6, which we could both tutor and sack if we need to. We gain energy. We could pay energy to tap down a creature. We could pay energy to draw a card. And we could pay energy to have it become an artifact creature until end of turn so we don't have to crew it. Yeah, I like the bespoke. Bespoke battle wagon. Or a shifter, I kind of skipped over you. You're a creature shapeshifter. Whenever it deals damage, we get that much energy. Beginning of combat, we can pay 2 to have it become a copy of another target creature, except that it has this ability. I'm gonna say no to Aura Shifter. Yeah. Aura Shifter, you're actually interesting, you're decent, but I'm gonna say no. The Amped Raptor, I recall being pretty good from some of my other decks. Enters the battlefield, gives us 2. If we cast it from our hand, we get to exile from the top until we exile on land. Then we could cast that card by paying energy equal to its mana value instead. It's pretty decent. Let's say worst case scenario, we get to, but we're also potentially losing a bunch of stuff. Well, we have a bunch of like low cost things. Amped Raptor, you could be in here. Aether Revolt, as long as permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent, deals that much +2 whenever you gain energy. Aether Revolt deals damage. I think because we're constantly sacking things, Aether Revolt is pretty strong for us. Robo Brain Warmind. equal to the number of cards in hand. When it enters, we get energy equal to the number of artifact creatures we control. When it attacks, we could pay it and draw. I'm going to say no to the Robo Brain. I want to take the Electrostatic Pummeler, though. Aether Spike, choose a spell, gain 2 energy, then we could pay any amount of energy and counter it unless they pay 1 for each. I'll take an Aether Spike. There's some stun counter stuff with the Vault. Shuffle, exile that many cards. You could play one of them for free. I'm going to say no to the Vault. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's not my favorite, not my go-to. Enters, we get 2 energy. We can pay 1 to have it gain lifelink until end of turn, and it's crewable, so Aether Sphere Harvester is good. Wheel of Potential is a weird wheel effect, and I'm just going to say no to it. Beginning of combat on your turn, you can pay 3. If you do, he gets a counter whenever it attacks, double its power. Whenever it deals damage to a creature, if that creature was dealt excess, you get energy equal to the excess. Pretty good way of gaining more energy. What do you guys think? Let's say no for now. Even though it's tempting. No, I'm going to take him. Give me that overclocked Electromancer. What are we at in terms of lands right now? 3. So we're actually at 48 cards. So that gives me 17 more. Yeah. Dynavolt Tower cares about instants and sorceries, and although we have some, I don't think we have enough to justify running it. Consulate Turret is a nice 3 cost, which I like. We could tap it to gain energy. Do I put it in just as like a stepping stone to get to a 4 cost thing? I'm gonna say... Because how many 3-cost artifacts do we have? Fabrication Module, but I really like Fabrication Module, and I wouldn't want to sack it. We have Conversion Apparatus, which honestly I like less, but like it's probably decent in the early game. So I think it makes sense to do it. Let's Consulate Turret. Aether Theorist is a 1/3 for 2, gives us 3 energy when they ETB. We can tap them and pay an energy to scry, which is fine, but not great. Choose target creature, gain 3, pay energy to deal damage. Again, this is effectively just the same as Galvanic Discharge. In fact, Galvanic Discharge is literally just Harness Lightning, but 1 less mana. Shielded Aether Thief. Whenever he blocks, we gain energy and we could draw some cards. He is a cheap boy to play early game. How many cheap boys do we have for early game? 1, 2, 3, but I really don't want to play you early. 4. Yeah, that's fine. Shielded Aether Thief. Aether Torch Renegade enters the battlefield. We gain 4. Pretty nice. We could pay 2 to deal 1 damage. Or we could pay 6. No, that's 8. Yeah. Pay 8 to deal 6 damage to a player. I'm gonna say no for this deck. Glassblower's Puzzle Knot would let us scry 2, gain 2, and then be like a stepping stone, but I think I have enough 2-cost things that I really don't want more. Enters tapped, gains us 2, and we could pay a single energy after tapping it to make it so a thing can't activate their abilities for the turn. I'm going to say no to that. Phyrexian Ironworks, whenever we attack, we gain. We get paid to create a Phyrexian Golem at sorcery speed. I think Phyrexian Ironworks is a nice 3-coster that we could sacrifice, because we don't have a ton of them. Multiform Wonder is a creature, so I like it less. Enters, we gain 3. We could pay to have it gain Flying, Lifelink, Vigilance. We could also pay to give it +2, -2, or -2, +2. I'm going to skip it. Thriving Turtle enters, gains us 2 energy. Whenever it attacks, we could pay 2 to give it a counter. I'm going to say no. I'm a little surprised that... Are they Jeskai, maybe? And that's why they're not showing up? I bet that's the case. Dr. Medicine Lee is definitely Jeskai. Either way, Filigree Racer is a vehicle, which we kind of want more of. Enters is going to gain us 4. Whenever it attacks, we can pay 2 to give a thing in our grave jumpstart, which I care less about. Do I want it just for the energy gain and to be a stepping stone? Because what do I have in the 4-cost slot for artifacts? We have another vehicle. Aetherwork Marvel, which I don't want to sacrifice. Slagstone, which I kind of don't want to sacrifice, but I'm willing to... Yeah. What is this? Filigree Racer? Yeah. Let's do a little... Not Gilligree. Filigree. Racer? Filigree, not agree. Okay, that's on me. John T. Sentry enters, gains us 2. We could pay 2 to tap or untap an artifact or creature. I'm going to say no. Enters, gains us 2. We could pay to have someone mill 3. I'm going to say no. Tempest Harvester is just a looter, which I'm good on. Enters, gains us 2. Whenever it attacks, we could pay 2 to create a servo. I'm going to say no. Hightide Hermit enters, gains us some energy. We could pay to let it attack, but I'm good. Inventor's Axe is 1. Enters, gains us 2. Auto attaches. Honestly, it could be a good one-cost sack option. Right, we can't sack those. We can only sack things that are just artifacts. And again, our just artifacts are not plentiful. Yeah. Basically, we're sitting at just Soul Ring right now. Inventor's Axe, you've made the cut to be our stepping stone and a ladder. What are we up to? -3, we're at 53, so we still have some room. Reiterating Bolt. You can pay this as many times as we want, but it's only creature or planeswalker, so I'm good. Meltdown, Flash, enchants a creature or vehicle, and kind of just makes it not work. It does give us some stuff when it comes in, but I'm still good. Enters, gains 3 life, gains 3 energy, but no. We're kind of getting into garbage at this point, it feels. Cyclops, Superconductor, Prowess, which, like, in an artifact deck is decent. Gains us 3 energy. Whenever it dies, we could pay 3 and have it deal damage equal to its power. I think that's probably a hilarious build-around strat, but not what we're doing here. Human Artificer, double striking, 2/2. Whenever it attacks, we could pay 2 to give it a +1/+1 counter permanently. I'm gonna say no. Honestly, I feel like, we are at the tail end of what energy things it has to offer. I'm gonna say no to that guy. Artifact creature enters, we get 2 energy. Whenever it attacks, we can pay 1. Another attacking creature gains +1/+1 menace. No. Enters, gains us 4. We could pay to again modulate its power toughness. No. Enters battlefield, we get 3. Whenever it attacks, we could pay to permanently boost it. Decent, but no. Get an energy on you coming in. We could pay energy to give a creature haste. I'm good. Thriving Grubs enters, gives us 2. Attacks, again, we could pay energy to go ahead and gain some permanent power to it. The unblockability is decent, that we could, like, not even unblockability, right? We're stripping the ability for something to block. But I'm going to say no. I don't think we're going to take any of these, honestly. Yeah, no. Let me go back to Advanced Search. Let me add in Emery Lurker of the Lock. Do we have EDH data? Okay, we do. They're including things that we've skipped over previously. We're obviously going to run a command tower. Animation module works in tandem with another thing we have. We're going to add in these mana rocks. Whenever you sacrifice, yeah. Esoteric Duplication's obvious add. This spell costs 3 less to cast if your creature died. Gives us extra combats. Well, one extra combat. Let's say no for now. Scrap Trawler is obvious and should have been in here from the start. I'm going to include Seed of Synod, Silver Bluff Bridge, Great Furnace, Droira should be in here. Training Center is surprisingly cheap enough that we could have it in. We'll take the Dark Steel. We'll take the Cascade Bluffs, the Storm-Carved Coast. Really wish I could put you in, but unfortunately, you're over our $10 budget. Unwinding Clock is good. Badim should be good. We'll take the Is It Boiler Works. Chemi Ruins are a little too expensive. I got really excited when I saw the effect, and then it was like, nah, dog. It's like, alright, nah, that's fair. Specifically the Mere Retrievers put into the graveyard. Yeah, we're still gonna include you. Obviously, right, we would just chump with you, cheat something else back to our hand. Kappa Cannoneer is stupid good in this deck. Fabricate is really strong. We'll take the Frostboil. We'll actually take the Combat Celebrant. Sculpting Steel is a little tempting. I'm gonna say no for now, though. Bunch of good stuff here. Mechanized Production, stupid good. Storm the Vault, I like. Reliquary Tower is always just nice to have. I am definitely going to end up running over my card limit, I think. Reckless Fireweaver is good. I think the Cyberdrive Awakener is good enough. Riverglide is good. Ferris Lake is good. Fiery will take. Return artifact you control to its owner's hand. Put another thing onto the field. That's probably fine. Let me hop back up, go back. I'm at 90 with 19, so I need to get rid of like 7 cards. And I don't think any of them are going to be creatures. Because Scrap Trawler lets me get back the Mere Retriever when... which then I could, like, again, sack for other things. Do some cycling, basically. So I think the cuts have to come from in here. Can I... Let's take a look. So, animation module cares about the 1/1 counters. And it really only works if I have Fabrication. But because I'm always tutoring, I think that's fine. Commander's Plate is just good. What are my other ones? The Inventor's Axe. Honestly, I think I don't have enough 1 and 2 cost things. Because I can only sacrifice artifacts. Sorry about that. Nope, still stuck. Give me one moment, I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Well, it's like, I guess the argument to be made is we're not always starting from sacrificing a treasure, right? So, I think the chain up for us is Inventor's Axe, to maybe Prized Statue. So many options. Let's actually remove the Harvester. Let's also remove the Bespoke Wagon. Do we still have a 4 cost? Aside from the Aetherworks Marvel. And the answer appears to be no. And if that's the case, I don't know that I even want these really big things. Let's move you to considering. I still like this for the energy gain. And the fact that it makes large tramply boys. Let's get rid of Summoning Station. This gives us dudes. This gives us mana. Both of which seem fine. I'm going to get rid of the Prize Statue. We do have the Unwinding Clock as a 4 thing. But I don't know that that's enough. Because I want the Unwinding Clock, and I want the Aetherworks Marvel. And I don't want to get rid of anything that deals with energy overall. Filigree Racer is another vehicle. I'm going to get rid of the Filigree Racer as well, maybe. But what if we leave the Filigree Racer in as our only 4-drop, which gets us to the Stone Idol, And then I don't think we have... Well, we have Gonti Aether's Heart as a 6. But Gonti Aether's Heart is here to give us an extra turn to pop off hard. So I still think we're good to leave out the, 7 drops that we removed. We also have Slagstone. But this just gives us Power Stones, which again is just ramping us. And it's like, how much ramp do we care about? I don't know. I just don't know. Let's maybe be assholes about it. What if we... Let's get rid of Limbus Bread. I like the Ichor. Let's do a quick island mountain, which I misspelled. We have room for 14 more, so we'll bump them both up to 8. Here we go. Bumping you to 8. Bumping you to 8. That actually gives us 35 lands. What if we stopped here? Yeah, let's stop here for a moment. And do a little bit of playtesting. So we have 1, 2, 3 lands in our opening hand. This gives us both of our colors. This just gives us access to colorless / energy shenanigans. And odds are we're going to get at least one of our colors off of this. So I'd probably keep this hand. Obviously play the tap land first. No plays, but that's okay. Next turn, we could play the Orchard. We have a couple different ways to go, but I think we're going to play the Decoshin module. Following turn, we draw into a command tower, so we're loving that. We'll play the Synth Eradicator. So he's hasty. Whenever he attacks, we get 2 energy. Assuming we want to keep it, but we gain energy off of this regardless. So we have an energy. We swing with a hasty 3/3 because it's only turn 3, so I'm thinking we're going to get through. So we take a look at Gonti Aether's Heart. We can't play it. We are going to permanently lose it. Which is kind of big sad. But it's not an infinite combo in this deck, so I don't feel too bad about it. So now we're up to 3. We've hit someone for 3 damage. We go to the next turn. We slam down the Helios 1 into the Aetherworks Marvel. We don't slam down the Aetherworks Marvel yet. I lied. What I actually want to do is swing with my Synth Eradicator, revealing this island. I've already played a land for turn, so arguably I shouldn't have played this yet. Is it play or cast? Play. Knowing there was nothing in my hand, we'll say I didn't do that, and I actually got this out onto the field. Still played the Aetherworks. No. Let's go wider, right? If we're going to play the Reckless Fireweaver, and the Mirror Retriever. Go to the next turn. For the same reason, right? Now we're always assuming in these goldfish tests that these attacks are super safe. But, we swing out. We're like, hey, it's an island. Hey, I'm going to play that island for turn. So no extra energy, but I did gain energy off of each of these, and I haven't spent any of it yet. Return target creature you control to its center's hand. Okay. So with 5... You cost 6? No, you cost 5. Oh, so that actually having been the case, I would have let this go. I would have played the Helios 1 to get this out. Gained an energy, and the question becomes nothing. Because whenever he attacks, I would have gained the treasure, sacked it, viewed my library for a axe, the Inventor's Axe. I'm sitting here thinking Iron Man costs 6, but he only costs 5. So Iron Man got auto-equipped with this, and we gained 2 energy from it coming in. Not poison. Misclick there. But Iron Man hits for 6 in the air, and we've started to climb. And because we actually didn't play that, we did gain more energy. Next turn, ooh yeah. I'm going to play the Esoteric Duplicator. Also, we would have dealt damage from this, and now this. Swing with Iron Man. Maybe also swing with him, right? Every attack is safe. Create a treasure. So let me go ahead and get that in here. The treasure deals damage because of the Reckless Fireweaver. We sacrifice the Inventor's Axe to his effect. We'll pay the 2 mana to ensure we get a copy back. Does it get exiled from the grave if we do this? Whenever we sacrifice it or another artifact, we could pay 2. Next end step, create a copy. So now this actually does get to persist in the grave. We go get a 2-cost thing now. The question becomes, what 2-cost thing do we want? Because I think I want it to be something I'm going to sacrifice. Really wish there was like a way to, do I want the T-45 power armor? And the answer feels like yes. What else could we have taken if we don't take the power armor? We could take a servo schematic, which actually deals some like decent damage and lets us continue to chain up. Either way, I think for like turn 6, regardless of, where we would go from here, this is pretty good. Let's do another test. So here we don't have any lands in our opening hand, so we're obviously just not keeping it. Would we have been punished? The answer is yes. So that's fine, but we would have mulliganed to this. This is a stupid, risky hand to keep, but it's so tempting. Let's say we arguably kept it against better judgment. Play the Cascade Bluffs into the animation module. Next turn, be sad. Damn it. Do nothing. Next turn. Okay. Play a mountain. We're a little behind, but we're going to play the Reckless Fireweaver and pass. We can play the Signet, deal a damage, have nothing else to do, pass. We have access to 3 now. We should have played the Mycosynth Wellspring instead of the Reckless Fireweaver. This was a bad keep anyway. Let's try again. Okay, much more lands, and we have the Izzet Genitorium, which I like, and the Shielded Aether Thief, which I like. The Guilty Aether's Heart is also nice to hold on to, so we would have kept this, drawn into another land, which I'm not a huge fan of. Enters unless you control 2 or more other lands. We could hold off on playing it, that's fine. So Mountain Pass into Island. Era of Innovation. Next, we'll play the Coast. We need to pay 1 for it. And this is Artifact or Artificer. So we'll play the Izzet Genitorium. It enters, triggers this, we pay the 3rd. So we're actually going to gain 3 energy. So halfway to sacking this to draw 3 cards. Next turn, let's play the Mountain. Let's actually get these mountains over here, just so that it flows nicely for us. Let's, with 4 mana, not a whole lot to do, honestly. Well, I guess we'll get out our Thief. And just pass. But that's okay, because the next turn, we could play the Riverglide Pathway. Get out Tony. Unfortunately, not be able to pay for this, but that's not the end of the world. Swing with Tony. Gain a treasure, which we could arguably do some shenanigans with, in terms of gaining an extra 3 and then paying the 6 to sack this and draw 3. But then obviously we're not searching up something new. So we're going to argue that we swung with Tony, we viewed our library for a 1-cost thing, which we know is always our Inventor's Axe. So Tony actually hits for 6 in the air on turn 5. Pretty decent. Next turn, ooh, we drew into a crime novelist, so that's great. We're going to play the Reliquary Tower. Play the crime novelist for 3. So we'll keep it pretty heavy into this side. Swing with Tony. On swing, we generate a treasure. We're going to still choose to sacrifice the Inventor's Axe. But when the treasure enters, we get a trigger off of this. But because we're also sacking this, I'll just use the red mana to do it and gain 3 more. This actually works really well, right? Because now I can pay 6, sacrifice the Era of Innovation, pay 2 red, and main phase 2 to get out the Blaster. Now the downside is obviously that I'm no longer going to gain from having artifacts out on the field, like entering and such. but still pretty good. We'll do one more play test of this, and we'll call it a day. This is actually pretty good, right? We have Mountain, we have the River Glide, and we have a Talisman. We also have Kappa Cannoneer, we have Joyra, we have Electrostatic. We have a lot of good things here for us. So we'll draw for turn. We're going to play the Mountain and pass. Turn 2, we're going to play the River Glide. And although Talisman is tempting, I think the correct play is the Mycosynth, which is going to go grab us. Do we have anything that requires 2 pips? No, and I don't know my deck's balanced well enough because I didn't look at it. But let's go ahead and grab ourselves a Mountain. The next turn, we could play the Mountain. Do I just play a Joyra? Because alternatively, right, I could play the Talisman and play an animation module. And if I play the Talisman and draw a land, I can get Tony out on turn 4. So I think we're going to do that. It also kind of gears up these to be some improvise fodder. Next turn, we drew into a land, so we could do this, do the axe thing, and start churning. And the question actually is, right, do we sack the treasure to grab the axe, or do we just sack the Mycosynth Wellspring, getting us another basic to hand, and then a nice 3-cost thing? Because if we get the module that works with this, we're suddenly generating a ton of, just a ton of servos for 1 mana, you know, basically. Either way, I think I like the way that this deck turned out. I did do another deck of this on my own, which I'll bring up real quick before we end the stream. Go out to my decks. I did an Arcbound version of Tony before I realized that it specifically says non-creature. And then I was just big sad about it. And as you can see, you know, far fewer things down here, because I was expecting to just sacrifice a bunch of, these dudes to scale up to other dudes. But it's all good. But as always, guys, you know, I'm Mechanized Minion, the Energy King. I want to thank you for hanging out with me while I built this deck on stream. And until next time, good luck with your builds.